Jutta can heckle from the background.
Yeah. So, it was the foreplay here. Do we just okay? Hey, Simo, it's good to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you too, Steen.
Yeah, really glad that you had a chance to get this conversation going.
Yes.
So I've been thinking about education in the industry, and really the challenges that we're facing.
I tend to think about that as well.
Yeah, especially when I come to like the Measure Camp Helsinki and meet all the people here and see the different levels of experiences and the shared and fragmented approaches to things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a unique setting for that because at least for now, still, we are practitioners and we are people who are interested in this industry and we are people who are actively looking for more information. What it will look like in 5 years, 10 years. It's not just events, it's all over the industry. I have a kid who's starting 3rd grade in Finland, and I'm genuinely worried about what level of critical thinking he's going to have as a skill when he grows up. And like the elephant in the room here is, of course, AI and how it impacts how people are taking in education. And we have an education business where we teach technical topics, and technical topics happen to be one of those places where AI kind of excels. Like if you have structured data, why do you even need to learn about SQL anymore when you can just get a pretty decent query out of a query engine? So that's what we are constantly trying to figure out, like, what is the role of education now that education isn't even on demand anymore. It's at your fingertips all the time. You can instantly go to an LLM and seek for answers.
But I also, but I think it's kind of coming back to where everything started. I used to go around saying that, I ended up, the people I knew in analytics were people who were at a place at a time. It was completely random. If you're looking at your background, looking at, so I have a degree in corporate communication, you have a degree in something that is a classic English language or something.
Linguistics,
Yeah, exactly. So we're a lot of people coming from a lot of different places that consolidated into an industry that has then been consolidated into a loose frame of learning, right? Because I know 2 schools of analytics, they're both in Sweden. So formal educations around analytics, and everything else is what we make happen. So you, of course, have been shaping the learning scope in a lot of ways.
Maybe, yeah. Well, that's an interesting discussion as well. Like, what is the role in formal training for an industry where almost nothing is formally trained? It's not just analytics. It's like, I mean, you have marketing courses that maybe talk about Google Ads, but the problem is that academic curricula evolve very slowly. It's very difficult to get them to be on par with what is going on in the industry. The curriculum is kind of set in stone for a year, sometimes even more. And just imagine all the things that have happened over the past year. So if you started your course in early September or early August, and you had this plan in the course, that's all could be thrown away in a month, considering what's going on.
Especially because the school Gunnar Grise and I were teaching at ITM in Malmö, and the curriculum was approved in January the year before September. So come January when we started, it was actually a year-old curriculum. Right, and in the space, it's really complicated.
And that's vocational school, but then think about like basic education. For kids, that you absolutely can't change the curriculum on a whim.
No.
So it has to be set in stone. So how do they even have the capacity to answer to the modern needs? And I'm not saying that school should be all about the latest technologies, because that doesn't make any sense. It would be like you would all have to start from beginning every year. But it's just getting more and more difficult, I think, just to find what matters under all of that. And I've been thinking about this so much, because it's frustrating to teach anything, especially in the technical realm, because it's all, I'm not going to say replaceable, but it's all complementable by all these technological changes. So what's the one thing that remains? Well, the one thing that remains that can't be replicated by anything is just your ability to critically think about things, and to dig into the sources and to kind of dismantle concepts and deconstruct ideas. And so now I'm thinking, as educators, is it becoming more and more important to focus on that only, on the tools that you need to kind of critically evaluate the things that you see? Because if we don't have that, we're going to have a feedback loop after feedback loop. We get garbage in, garbage out, and then you start building additional feedback loops on that already once regurgitated garbage, and then you get another loop.
Yeah. I had a conversation today, actually, very close to that theme, talking about everybody now is celebrating the digital natives, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of see that as, yes, but that actually represents a very small part of that generation. Yeah. The rest is what I qualify as digital naïves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they have no idea what's going on. They have no idea about the underlying mechanics.
Yeah.
They just give their data to the social media because that's what everybody does, and don't understand the business model and the technology and tracking and anything. So it's just.
Well, So then the question becomes like, what is education pivoting towards? Like we can't take things at face value that people are going to benefit from the classical way of teaching. Yeah. Here's a tool, you use it like this. Here's a framework, you start from here and you go to here.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't necessarily make any sense anymore because you can just dismantle that and go elsewhere for it. And it's working with an LLM as your educator is so much easier because you can get 50 different answers from 50 different teacher personas in the time you typically get from one single teacher.
Yeah. I think when it comes to AI, I do have the problem that what I found is that when I talk to people, normally we're really good at catching crap and hallucinations if it's inside our own comfort zone and skill set.
Yep.
So, and the moment it's like, teach me about the birds of Finland, it can tell me anything. Yep. So if it creates my frame of reference, then it's going to be complicated for me to spot the bullshit.
Yep, absolutely. But there is something to be said about, because of the kind of education that we've received, especially if you've gone on to higher education, for example. My education in the humanities, there was actually courses dedicated to critical thinking.
Yeah.
Just how to do sources, how to do source analysis. I'm not saying it was the best kind of education, but it gave me a certain kind of way that even if I don't have deep understanding of the topic, I can still I have my spider sense tingles that there's something wrong with this statement.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work. It works better when there's stats involved because
that's your comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it works better if there's things that are rebelling against my idea of what is right and wrong in the world.
Yeah.
But so that's the sensitivity that needs to be cultivated. And if we lose that, and if we don't have those few experts in the loop, then we're going to be in deep shit. Which leads to the question: is it the people who do still get traditionally trained, like classically trained in methodologies and theories and skills and tools, are they going to become these really valuable, rare asset in organizations? Because they're the ones you go to when you have a little doubt about the AI response and you need someone to quickly validate it this way. So do we get these oracles?
Yes.
Because everybody else is satisfied with getting a 60% possibility of getting a wrong answer. But because they can ask it 10 different times, they can approach a mean, which is semi-decent. Whereas they can go to the expert immediately and get like a binary, this is absolutely wrong or this is okay. So I'm trying to think of what would be my incentive to learn new things in this world, and that would be one of them. I want to be that person who can still look at a response generated by AI or generated by a junior or generated by a senior who's lost their touch, and I can instantly say, okay, this is in the right direction, but you need to reformat it so that you get a better answer. I want to be that person, and I want to teach those people as well.
Yeah, but, so that's back to the teaching, right? So maybe it's not the linear technology because that keeps changing and maybe even so fast that making a course is no longer valid, but teaching people how to have the conversation. I had a talk here today as well, which is actually very much about language. So it's back to linguistic and saying that, so if you gave us the access to all the data from the Simmer website and told us, okay, Steen, all of you, go in and tell us how we did last year.
Yeah.
And we had to analyze through an AI.
Yeah.
The analysis would come out very differently because especially if it was through our own AIs that has been thought to think like us, so we will be prompting in our own universe, in our own language, and that would skewer everything to make it personally biased. Yeah. So that's a complication that we need to learn the language to actually learn to have a unified language around this.
But but then it becomes an incentive problem. Like, why should I?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the question. Like, why should I? What's the outcome for it? Right now, I think that we are so far high up in the hype cycle that it's difficult to settle down and look at the reality of things.
Yeah.
Because we are constantly being bombarded by hypers and fluffers and influencers saying that this is the way to go. So I'm kind of personally I'm waiting for things to level out a bit, because there's going to be a counter reaction, a really strong one, where this is the way I'm visioning it. There's going to be like a badge of honor if your content was human created. You can add it to your blog post. This was actually written by a human being. Can you imagine? Like when 5 years ago that was the norm, now it's become the exception. And so if you can put that, and in the same way, this education is human taught, based on human experience, based on a verified expert who has done this stuff manually. Yeah. I believe that that's going to be a powerful certificate of authenticity to any teaching. But it requires, for that to happen, it requires that we persist, that we keep on teaching people these methods, even if they feel outdated. Because they do tap into something primeval in our brains that rewards us for figuring it out by ourselves rather than somebody giving us the answer.
It's super interesting. I used a slide earlier in my presentation talking about making hard choices because we know they're right and not. So the classic example is. You come in the metro, there's a stairs next to an escalator, and we know it is no surprise to anybody which one is the right choice. And still, I think that the stats of the study I saw said 3.6% made the right choice. The rest took the convenient choice. Right? And even when they put up signs, it only doubled to 5.9. So even when we're confronted with saying, hey, make the right choice, it's like, I'll make the easy choice. So I think that we'll have a group of people that's making the hard choice because learning is the hard choice. Having the willingness to go there, it also what makes you special. Because if you just make the easy choice and just use your AI for all the answers, then you will not be the critical person. It's taking the hard road.
And I think that's absolutely true. And I think that people are they are thinking that the only reason to learn something is to become adept at something. So the only reason why I should learn SQL is so that I can write a query out of my head. That's only part of it. The reason you learn something is because you wire your brain in a way to be more adaptive to changes around you. So you're not just, you are learning towards a certain goal. So this is why I'm really proud of my linguistics background while I'm working in analytics. I have absolutely no use for my linguistics background. I'm in the humanities. I have no use for reading an anthology of American literature. But I know that doing so, I have wired my brain in a certain way, and I have a cultural sensitivity that might emerge as a very beneficial thing in scenarios that I never even imagined. If I didn't have that, and if I'm just externalizing all my thought processes to a machine that's basically not creating anything, just generating out of existing things, I'm really quickly going to lose that sensitivity, because everything becomes a milliseconds game. I am accustomed to getting an answer in 360 milliseconds from this model, 270 from that model, and it would take me hours to go through sources manually. And it becomes like a zero-sum game, which I get in this day and age, where everything has to be fast and effective, but you are losing your soul in the process. You're losing the fact that those 3 hours aren't just about finding the truth, they're about developing your brain muscles and your mental acuity to become better and better at it in the future. And it's just it's a paradigm question. I think that, but we need to survive past this hype cycle. And I'm gonna caveat this right now and say that I'm actually a very happy AI user. And I have many use cases for it, but I refuse to use it to replace that absolutely valuable skill where I am training my brain in a way to become a better learner. I will never sacrifice that.
And I think I'd use it very much the same in the sense that, well, sparring in relation to kind of also confronting it, saying that the kind of the balance of framing the questions correctly. So framing the question it's so complicated, and reframing them and rethinking them. And if you just take the escalator and just have one question and think that's the answer, then you will get stuck.
For sure.
Cool. Simo, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out and talking.
Of course.
Learning. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Good stuff.